In March 2026, China published a single document, 141 pages long, that will quietly decide the next decade, and almost nobody in the West has opened it. Here's what you already know. China makes things cheaply at scale. Here's what you don't. This document is the reason. It names the industries China intends to own, in public, years before the prices ever fall. So the real question isn't whether China gets there. It's how a boring government report makes it happen, on schedule, every single time. You've already lived through the preview. 10 years ago, Germany built the best solar panels on Earth. Then, the price of solar fell more than 90% in a decade. The German factories closed, one after another. Today, China controls over 80% of the entire world's solar manufacturing. That wasn't luck. It was printed years in advance in a plan exactly like this one. But this new plan is different. This time, the targets aren't things the West already knows how to build. They're the industries the West still thinks it invented. Robotics, Biotech, Aerospace, quantum computing, Semiconductors. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how this machine works, which 5 industries it just aimed at, and why the West can't simply copy it, even though it already tried. The people who read this document early will build the next decade. The people who ignore it will be the German solar factory. Let me show you the difference. The machine that moves a country. On paper, a 5-year plan is the most boring document a government can produce. But it holds a power no Western strategy paper ever will. Because the second an industry lands on that list, a chain reaction fires. From Beijing all the way down to a mayor in a city you've never heard of. It starts with the banks. China's biggest banks are state-owned. When the plan names an industry, every credit officer in the country gets a new definition of a good loan overnight. A company building something on that list can raise in 3 months what a rival in Europe or the US spends 2 years begging for, at rates no private lender would touch. The loan officer isn't betting on the company, he's betting on the plan. Then come the mayors, and this is what outsiders miss. A Chinese mayor isn't elected, he's appointed, and promoted on numbers. Hit the target, land the factory the plan wants, and you climb. Small city to big city, maybe all the way to Beijing. So the moment the plan says robotics, every ambitious mayor in the country starts fighting to land that factory. Free land, long tax holidays, money that no Western city council could ever approve in time. And here's the scale it produces. According to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, China poured at least $230 billion into its electric vehicle industry between 2009 and 2023. And the researcher who calculated that number called it a highly conservative estimate, because it leaves out cheap land, local rebates, and the battery supply chain underneath it. None of this happens in the dark either. Back in 2015, the plan stated it plainly. China intended to lead the world in electric vehicles. That intention was translated and read in board meetings in Wolfsburg and Munich. Some executives believed it. Plenty didn't, and kept building combustion engines anyway. You know how that ended. And cars weren't even special. In the early 2000s, South Korea built more than half the ships on Earth. Shipbuilding went on the list. By 2024, Chinese yards were taking around 70% of all new ship orders on the planet, measured by the industry's own tonnage standard. When China couldn't build something itself, it bought the skill, buying high-speed trains from Japan, France, and Germany on one condition: teach us how they work. Today, China runs the largest high-speed rail network in the world by a wide margin. Displays, shipbuilding, rail, drones, solar, batteries. Same script every time. Visible years before the market share ever moved. Now, this system isn't magic. It also burns money and builds ghost factories that make no sense at all. A 5-year plan is a stated intention with real money behind it. It's not a prophecy. It can fail. But it's always printed, in public, years ahead of the fact, which is exactly why the newest one deserves your attention. The list that reads differently this time. The 15th 5-year plan was approved in Beijing on March 12, 2026. It runs to 2030, and buried in the committee language is a list that reads differently from everyone before it. Robotics, biotechnology and biomanufacturing, aerospace, the low-altitude drone economy, quantum computing, hydrogen, new materials, semiconductors, and, of course, AI. Here's what changed. Solar, batteries, ships, trains. Those were all catch-up games. China chasing inventions the West already owned. This list is different. These are the sectors where the West still believes it holds the frontier itself, not the factory, the invention. So let's not keep this abstract. Let's go straight to the sector where it's already happening, in an industry you'd have sworn was untouchable. The drug that came from the wrong country. You know Ozempic, the diabetes drug that became the weight loss drug the whole planet is arguing about. Invented by Novo Nordisk, a Danish company. It made them, for a time, the most valuable company in Europe. Ozempic's core patent in China expired in March 2026, the same month the plan was approved, years before it expires in the US or Europe. And it opened a door to a market with 148 million diabetics, the largest diabetic population on Earth. More than a dozen Chinese drug makers are lined up behind that door with generics ready. Novo is fighting a rear-guard action on data protection to hold them off a little longer. But the direction is set. Still, copying last decade's blockbuster is the old game. Here's the new one. The drug Novo Nordisk is betting its future on, a next-generation weight loss shot to succeed Ozempic, might not be Danish at all. In 2025, Novo agreed to pay up to $2 billion for the global rights to a triple hormone weight loss compound. They licensed it from United Biotechnology, a company based in Guangdong, China. Read that again. The company that owns the most famous drug on Earth went shopping in China for the one that comes after it. And it wasn't a fluke. According to the investment bank Jefferies, roughly 1/3 of all the money Big Pharma spent licensing new drugs in 2025 went to compounds sourced from China. For 70 years, breakthrough medicine came out of Boston and Basel, and China made the cheap copies afterward. That model is breaking. The invention itself is starting to originate somewhere else. And it happened with no factory closing, no headline calling it a takeover. It just showed up in a licensing deal. The one industry the West still owns. To be fair, there's one industry the West still owns outright: aerospace. Two companies build almost every large passenger jet in the sky: Boeing, American; Airbus, European. A certified, safe airliner takes decades of engineering and a mountain of approvals. That's exactly why nobody has cracked the duopoly in 50 years. China put it on the list anyway. Its state plane maker already flies a single-aisle jet, the C919, on domestic routes. Aimed dead center at the plane Boeing and Airbus sell most. Right now, the C919 still leans on foreign engines and foreign systems. It's not world competitive yet. But neither were Chinese solar panels in 2010. Neither were Chinese EVs in 2015.
The starting position was never the point. The trajectory was. And the rest of the list reads the same way. Quantum computing, hydrogen, the advanced materials inside every battery, every chip, every jet engine. Each one now has a fixed deadline, a stated budget, and a line of officials whose careers depend on hitting it. Money, ambition, a locked timeline. That's the exact combination that turns solar and ships and rail from someday into already happened. Quick thing before the most useful part. If you're getting value from this, hit subscribe and the notification bell, both together, because the moment one of these 5 sectors breaks, I cover it the same week, and you don't want to miss it. Okay, here's what you actually do about all this. The position that survives the wave. So, what do you actually do standing in front of a wave like this? There are 2 positions. You can be the German solar manufacturer wiped out when the price collapsed. Or you can be the company that sold what came after. Because when solar hardware crashed, someone still had to ship those cheap panels, finance them, mount them on roofs, wire them into homes. That business grew precisely because the hardware got so cheap. Look at a company like SolarEdge. It doesn't make the raw panel. It makes the electronics beside it, the systems that turn cheap panels into a working home setup. In the first quarter of 2026, while Chinese panel manufacturers were drowning in losses, SolarEdge grew its revenue 46% year over year. Same commodity crash, opposite outcome. The difference was position. So here's the filter. Run your own plans through it. Take whatever you're building or thinking of building and hold it against that list. Robotics, Biotech, Aerospace, Quantum, Semiconductors, plus AI, hydrogen, and materials right behind them. If your plan is to manufacture something in one of those categories outside China, you need a clean answer to one question. What protects you when Chinese capacity scales and prices fall? If the honest answer is, our product is a little better, that's not a plan. That's a countdown. You won't be fighting a company. You'll be fighting a state that already decided the industry is its own. With cheaper money than you can get, a home market of over 1 billion people, and no need to turn a profit for a decade. Now flip it. The same list becomes the best free business map you'll get this year. Because every market China floods gets radically cheaper. And cheap creates entire industries downstream. When battery cells got cheap, the play wasn't building more cells. It was everything cheap batteries suddenly made possible. The winners of the next decade won't be the people fighting China head-on inside a factory. They'll be the ones who read this list early and set up one layer downstream, selling picks and shovels to a gold rush they never had to fund. Why the West can't just copy the playbook. So why doesn't the West just do the same? Pick the industries, write the checks, fight fire with fire. To their credit, they tried. Subsidies, tariffs, procurement rules, industrial policy. Those tools exist in Washington and Brussels too. The difference isn't willpower, it's structural. And it comes down to three things: scale, coordination, and continuity. Take the biggest attempt. In 2022, the United States passed the Inflation Reduction Act. Hundreds of billions aimed at building clean energy and batteries at home. A real industrial plan, American style. But within a few years, a change in administration began unwinding large parts of it, rolling back clean energy credits and support well ahead of schedule. There's the handicap in one story. Money that shows up with one election and vanishes with the next. Now put China's plan beside it. The target holds 5 years minimum, often longer, and no election erases it.
Say what you want about the system behind it, and there's plenty to say. But while European coalitions argue, and Washington rewrites its own laws every 4 years, Beijing sets a direction toward 2035, and the whole country is still walking toward it a decade later. An entrepreneur in China placing a 10-year bet knows the state will still be pushing the same way in year 9. An entrepreneur in Germany or the US is betting against a policy that might flip before the product even ships. And when your bet takes a decade to pay off, that predictability is worth more than the subsidy check itself. But here's the other half, and it matters. The same machine also burns money on a scale that's hard to believe. When Beijing blesses an industry, so many companies pile in that most are doomed from day one. On solar alone, China built roughly double the manufacturing capacity the entire world could use. Prices collapsed, and in 2024, according to Reuters, the sector lost something like $60 billion in a single year. The system that's this powerful is also, at the same time, wildly wasteful. Both are true. Neither cancels the other. The document sitting in plain sight. So the document just sits there. 141 pages. Public. Already translated into English. Telling anyone willing to read it exactly which industries China intends to own by 2030. For a business outside China, the mistake is ignoring that signal until the prices have already fallen and the market share has already moved, the way German solar did. The opportunity is working out right now what becomes scarce or necessary or suddenly more valuable as Chinese capacity floods these 5 sectors. A 5-year plan won't tell you which Chinese company wins. It tells you exactly where the capital and the political attention are about to land next. And that is a genuinely rare thing to get for free. If you made it this far, you now understand this document better than most of the people paid to write about it. That's who this channel is built for. Every week, I break down how money, business, and power actually move in this part of the world. Not from a desk in London, but from the inside. So hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for the next one. Then tell me in the comments, if you had to build a business today, are you going head-on against one of these 5 industries? Or one layer downstream, selling the picks and shovels? Pick a side. I'll see you in the next one.